Okay, so the topic, as you see, of our webinar today is resilience in leadership, thriving under pressure. But I don't want just to read it or like just, to have a very dry theory. I want to make it very interactive. Let me introduce first myself, just a couple of words about me. So my name is Kseniya Soroka. I'm originally from Ukraine. I used to be in corporate also for more than 10 years, but last 8 or maybe already 9 years, I'm doing what I'm really passionate about. It is coaching, and I'm working with individual clients. I also work with couples. I work with teams. I work with like any kind of relationships, if you will. On another side, I'm also a trainer, so I train and teach those people who would like to be relationship coaches. Back 12 years ago, I did MBA here in Rotterdam School of Management, and where I met Sarvesh. And now I am actually invited team coach and executive leadership coach for the current cohort of MBA students. And if you see on my CV here on the screen, I'm also a certified mental fitness coach. And that actually, this aspect I would like to bring to our topic about talking about resilience and how not we only understand how to be resilient, but actually I have a practical tools how to do it that will help you also in your work life, but also in your personal life, hopefully. Okay, question then
Thanks
to
a
you.
lot. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
Santosh. Then question to you. Think about maybe last time it was a challenging situation to you. Like kind of maybe it was recent. You don't need to to tell me like kind of the situation itself, but what was the feelings? What was the emotions at that moment
Since
when the
since yeah, you can hear me okay, right?
Yes, I hear you. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So since it's a closed forum, what I can say is one of the key pieces. As you know, the global markets are tumbling. So as a leader, when the company decides that we are not going to pay any uh, performance-related increase, where you need to really manage your top performers and ensure that okay, things needs to be kept within. So that's, I would say, for any leader, that's the critical moment where hand in hand the balancing act. I
Yeah.
think
So what?
that's the recent situation I just went through. I thought, okay, that will.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. And how did you feel in this moment? What was the emotions or like, yeah, what was the feelings during the situation? Like you said, like something you need to balance. Like what did you feel at that moment?
Uh, the first thing is okay. See, it is a pinch of salt for us, salt for even for you as well as your employees. But the key is you should not show the resilience, and you need to be act like an entrepreneur, where you really make sure your key people understands the
Mm.
uh, situation and stays with you and uh, signs up for the momentum. I think that's the key message you need to convey as a leader, and that's the key piece, key
Yeah,
thoughts.
and what I hear kind of you and this is great thoughts actually how you could actually use this in these situations like in terms of how I could create from this, right? Kind of how I could actually make a solution for this. And because it was challenging, did you have any of stress or kind of any overwhelm during this challenging moment in the beginning?
I don't call it as a stress, but see, as leaders, we would have gone through this in our career. The key, so many people have stress and demotivation within your team.
Yeah.
So I think that what makes you worry as a leader, that
Yeah.
you need to keep going. So I don't call it as a stress, but it's a bit of concern or worry is what I would call
How you call it?
a concern.
Okay, so indeed, and I love how you already like proactively thinking, how, yeah, as a leader, so how we could actually create from this. So it's not like a real stress when you are stuck. But I'm asking this because usually, especially under the pressure, kind of when there is a challenging situations, right? So we might on the first place react kind of a bit like and you see it on the slide, kind of maybe with the fear, maybe with some stress, maybe with some even anger or guilt or shame or insecurity sometimes, right? And kind of this is the moment when we are more like reacting to something that maybe we don't expect. Yes, and sometimes we are actually not acting as we would like to when we are more calm, yeah, when we are in a better place. So that's why I want to talk about this today, because those reactions, I don't think like that we wake up in the morning, right? And or you wake up in the morning or with intention, oh, I want to be stressed today, or I want to be, I don't know, guilty today. But sometimes challenging situation happens, and this is more like our reaction to this. So but just to normalize, we all do this, and at the same time we have another voice, like kind of this is like this, we call it, as you see, saboteurs. In coaching we have terminology for this. We call those voice that gives this fear or stress or anger, saboteurs. But at the same time we have another voice, something like I'm pointing here, maybe it's going from more from the heart, from inside. We call it sage, or inner voice, inner leader. And that voice has a bit different quality. It's more about empathy or curiosity, creativity, passion, purpose. As you said now, I think what I heard, actually, you were more connecting with your sage, because you were thinking, so how I could actually, how you were curious, how I could actually resolve this situation, right? And at some point you think, hey, Ksenia, but actually those voices in my head really generate success in my life. Basically, it helps me to achieve it, right? Yes, I well, will not deny it, but at the same time, how we do this, because most likely with stress, anxiety, burnout, we might achieve what we want, but if we ask ourselves, are we really happy? Even if we achieve this result, sometimes not. And another option or another variant that we could use, we could still achieve our goals, what we want, what we really like want to have in our lives as our dreams, objectives, and still generate our success with sustained happiness. So achieve the goals, but also be fulfilled with this. Let me check. How does it sound for you so far, Santosh?
Yeah, it sounds interesting, and maybe one piece, as you said, is sometimes maybe uh, I would say maybe I always requote this thing when you get into a place. If you're a marketing person, when you get into a place where no one is wearing a shoe or shoes or chappals, and certain people see that as an opportunity, and certain people say that okay, no, this is not my game. So it's the way you look at rather than you see things rather than for some people it may be opportunity. Some people uh, they end up giving it up.
Exactly. As you say, kind of both options could be. It's our choice, and sometimes we are not aware, and that's why we are more reacting. So it's all about how actually to become more aware and actually recognize the situations and do something differently and with more conscious and intentions. Yeah. So that's why actually this whole concept called mental fitness, and as you say, definition, what is mental fitness? It's actually your capacity, as you said, to respond to life challenges, work challenges with more positive rather than negative mindset. And when we do this, that actually creates of peak performance, peace of mind, this feeling of wellness, healthy relationships in our personal lives, but also at the workplace, and also help us thrive even if it's under pressure. And it's called actual mental fitness because the logic is very similar as like any other sport we are doing. Yeah. For example, if I go to the gym first time, never did it before, and at some point I want to lift a heavy weight, I'm sure I will not do it just because my muscles, my physical muscles are not ready. But even I, like, if I just, okay, that's my goal. I want actually to lift this heavy weight. And I will start training a little bit, like every day, maybe 15 minutes even a day. Then my muscles will be ready. And at some point, I could actually, in a couple of weeks, maybe, right, I could lift it. So, same logic here. But what we can do, we could actually train our mental muscles, not physical muscles in this case, but mental muscles, because by default, they are not trained. If you think about we as humans, right, when we are born as babies, and up to the moment we are kind of considering ourselves as adults, right? So this is 18, in some countries 21 years, right? Kind of this is, I call it the survival curve a little bit, yeah, because we are not responsible for ourselves, but our mind search some concepts, kind of how to rely in this world, yeah, so to actually to survive till the moment when we're already responsible for ourselves. So that's why I just want to normalize when we react to something as all people. That's normal. I mean, and sometimes no one is teaching us how to do differently. And those patterns, I'll just give an example, my own example. For ex- um, if you think about educational system, right? It's already like, okay, if I got excellent mark, good girl. Ksenia is a good girl. But if I got even four, like in our systems from one to five, or three, okay, I'm loser. Something is wrong with me. Like kind of, I didn't achieve what I want. So because the whole system is actually like put you in this label. Yeah. So if you're excellent, then great. And that's what happened with me. Yeah, I've got excellent marks at school, excellent marks at university. And then at some point, okay, I'm good at everything, kind of. But what I really want, because I'm missing this part, I could still achieve to be this good girl because that's how I understand the world is working, but doesn't give me satisfaction or really fulfillment or happiness. That was a big question. But why I'm saying this, because all these patterns, we have it, and no one unfortunately may be teaching us these things in school how to do it differently. So speaking about those, as I said, voices or okay, I call them saboteur in coaching. Yeah, all of us have this one. You just see on the screen. We call it judge saboteur. Some people call
Yeah,
it inner
yeah.
critic. Yeah, tell me. You like very you recognize that, right? Like, how do you notice this judge, this inner critic or imposter syndrome?
Um, if I see this critic, uh, uh, see, if I see by law, okay, whether it's in your hand or leg, it doesn't matter. If you're very clear on your thoughts, uh, you do what you believe rather than someone insisting you to do.
Yeah, so if we're that's also the thing, kind of when we are in the quiet mind, because him, yeah, I believe in myself, but in the moment of, especially speaking about our topic, yeah, like maybe there is some pressure or something, even sometimes with all the achievements that you've got, sometimes we're thinking, oh, I'm not good enough, or I'm not good enough maybe for this position or for this role or for something else. I'm too old, I'm too young, kind of all these things happen actually, or thoughts happening in our heads. So this judge, this inner critic, how does it also show up? So sometimes we could judge ourselves for not being good enough, and sometimes we are very harsh on this, right? Sometimes we could judge also others. Oh, my manager is not very supportive. So if my manager is not so supportive, then how I could be promoted, for example, right? And in this case, it's kind of, oh, if my manager is so bad, so what I can do? Kind of, it's lose-lose situation. And maybe what is not that evident, sometimes we judge the circumstances. Yeah, so okay, I'm not going now in what circumstances we have now in the world, but even if we go 5 years ago with COVID, yeah, sometimes like, oh, COVID, so we need to go to working from home. Oh, I'm feeling so lonely because of that COVID. Yeah, so kind of we unconsciously judge the circumstances. But in all these situations, it's still lose-lose, because if that happened, or if my boss is not good, or I'm kind of not good enough, I I don't have any motivation. I don't have any energy to do any different, because like, yeah, kind of what to do. Let me pause. How does it sound for you, Santosh?
No, it's nice. Sometimes, yeah, as you said, that's what many people say when you're in stress or when you need to take decisions. You just take a break or take a breathe and then think through. So m- maybe one piece as a leader I learned is maybe don't do emails in a hurry when
Mm,
you're doing something very important or confidential. So you need to think and go on that.
beautiful. And I like how you actually say just breathe. And this is one of the techniques. And another one I'm happy to share with you in the end of our conversation that you also could use. in different situations and see what will be the impact. I will show you in the end. So yeah, kind of as you said, sometimes just to pause, to break this pattern, to judge ourselves, because that goes unconsciously. But again, we normally don't do this. It's not part of our practice or routine. That's great that you actually say this, because we know this, right? We know kind of in order to write impactful email, you don't need it to do in the rush when your emotions are super high, when everything like things like a priority. So you want to have a quiet mind, indeed, because that's actually antidote to those saboteurs. When we are quiet, then our mind is able to recognize, okay, so what is like the situations, even if it is complex. Again, it's not about putting the pink glasses and thinking, oh, everything will be like fine. This, like toxic positivity. No, it's actually breathe, as you said, and look at the situations. Okay, it might be very complex, but what is my one step here? What I need to do now, right? Kind of to have maybe different impact. So that's why I asked the group to do this assessment. And for those who did, that might look like this. But again, I assume that not everyone has a busy life. So I decided just to go through very quickly about each saboteur. So for you, Santosh, kind of, I will just quickly say there are 9 types. We're not going to debrief all of them. I will just do a snapshot of each of them very quickly. And you decide which one you would like to work a little bit today for yourself, okay? Which one you resonate, which one you recognize kind of as a pattern, because those saboteurs, as I said,
Yep.
this is our patterns, this is how we react sometimes. And if all of us have this judge, inner critic, because we're just human beings. Even if you think about the people who are so confident, who are so like on the stage and do it, we think they're doing it naturally. They still have this judge. They just know how to cope with this. They park it and they actually go with their adult self, let's say, and create the intentional impact that they want. And when we are not aware, those saboteurs actually pretend to be our friends, but deliver the total opposite. And I'm putting those 9 types because although the judge, all of us have it, those 9 could be already different for different people. That's why the assessment actually says which top 2, like there are 9 types, but we usually look in our coaching sessions for top 2 or maybe top 3. Um, because you might recognize them best. But for our exercise, feel free to choose one that you're most curious, that you see, and maybe feel you kind of resonate more.
Or,
Okay,
restless
yeah.
is something I'll choose restless.
You already could choose restless because you could, and let me kind of give you a snapshot of each one description, maybe someone else, but we also could work with restless. By the way, restless we all
Yeah.
have, but I will explain what's the difference. So controller is the one that kind of the important also a remark that all of those saboteurs, they are developed on something that you're good at. Basically, you have a strength, but when we are not aware, when there's like a challenging circumstances, like the pressure comes, we are kind of more reacting. And that's why what we are good at, we use the same quality, the same strength, the same talent, but we overuse it. And that actually doesn't bring us any good. Controller, this is like the one that is anxiety based, can need to take charge and control all the situations, and basically it creates this high anxiety and impatience when things kind of getting out of your control. Again, small remark, we all as human beings, we want to have some stability, but this is kind of going a bit higher level, kind of we want to control for the sake of good. People usually kind of very organized, very like straightforward, they see the vision, and in this kind of intention to do good, we actually sometimes deliver unintentional impact when kind of, okay, I control the situations and I'm not listening to other people. Yeah, and we kind of ruin the relationships here. People are not going to contribute anymore. Okay, next one, hyperachiever. That one, again, if we just take hyper out, achievement is great. But when we are not aware about this quality of us, to get in only 5 marks, right? Then we starting dependent on this constant performance and constant achievement. So if I achieve, I'm a good girl, but if I'm not, I'm loser, I'm failure, and that's actually a very difficult state to be. You don't want to do anything else from that. And again, when we highly focus on the success, when that achievement becoming our identity. So it's not me as Ksenia, but it's my identity. If I achieve this, if I got this role, if I got this job or not. Then restless, yeah, as you said, so maybe you could recognize. So again, we're a little bit all of us restless. We have restless mind as human beings, but when it is your pattern, when it is your saboteur, it's kind of constantly search for this excitement, for this next dopamine. Kind of there's a FOMO, feeling of missing out. I wanted to be there. I wanted to be there. Again, it's still based on good quality of curiosity. People usually super curious. That's why you are here. You're curious in this stuff, and sometimes kind of we're everywhere and not really going deep in something. Then stickler or perfectionist. Again, people super organized. They probably have everything tidy at home at their Gmail box and everything. That's great, great quality. You don't waste time to finding things. But again, when it is on the a bit of overwhelm or kind of when we really overuse this quality, people want just to do everything perfectly. And doesn't matter if it's a project cost 1 billion or if this project cost like 1,000 euros. This saboteur wants to do both projects perfectly. And that's how we miss, like, yeah, the mistake in the bigger project could cause you much more trouble than the mistake in the small one. Another one, pleaser. This is also, it could be very like soft voice, kind of course. You don't need to worry other people. You need to take care of other people. The good thing is that people who have this saboteur, they are people, kind of people, they love people. Yeah, they like to care about them, they're helping them, they really find enjoyment and fulfillment in helping others. But another side, when they are not really aware, so they're putting other people's wants, needs, desires on the pedestal. They know how they could help, and they totally forgot about their own. Yes, and that's actually create other problems. Hypervigilant. Again, if we take hyper out, vigilance is a beautiful quality. It's creating this safety around. It's like getting to know, okay, kind of be vigilant in a good sense. But when it's hyper, when it's overused, it's like, what if that happens? What if that happens? What if that happens? And it's such a disturbing feelings for the person itself, but also for the person around when we are constantly on alert. And unfortunately, things might go wrong, let's say, but if you already waste all your energy on the things that maybe didn't happen, so when something goes wrong, you're not already have energy to do something about that. Avoider, again, people are like to have a peace in relationships, like it's people who create harmony. That's great, but the downside is that people avoiding these difficult conversations. Oh, it's already good enough peace, so I don't want to have conflict or have these difficult conversations. But we know, yeah, if we don't address this issue, conflict or difficult conversations, it will not be resolved by itself. Usually it's just getting higher, and then you need just a match to have explosion. Again, so it's all about how we could deal with conflict. And for example, yeah, for me, it's actually I'm hired because people or teams have conflicts or couples have conflict, but actually nothing is wrong with conflict itself. What I learned in my journey that conflict is just a signal. Something is going on in this relationship, just people don't know. And it's all about how to do it skillfully. Yeah, because paradoxically, when you address the conflict, then the relationship becoming even deeper and more respect and trust. Victim. This is an interesting one because it's kind of emotions on extreme. It's like people put you the, I know it's very overused or you're in victim position, but in this case, usually the gift, the people that have saboteur as victim, they are they're very sensitive, super sensitive. It's the people to describe those people, they could, and I mean, we're all intuitive, but they are intuitive on steroids. They could enter the room, whether it is in-person room or online Zoom room or Teams room, and they could exactly by just feeling what's going on, they could understand, oh, it's going great, or there's like emotions, maybe some difficult emotions. So, and that's why people they have this gift, they really understand, they kind of get this. but it's also overwhelmed them. And the moment when they're not aware, they took too much of other people's emotion, that's how they play kind of, oh, like I'm overwhelmed. And they try kind of to, how to say, as you see here, to gain attention and affection, kind of help me. But even if people try to help them, they actually not having this help. They don't need this help because they just need, hey, I'm in trouble, help me, like notice me. Yeah. So it's also kind of again, there's a gift, and there is like just how to be aware about not to be overwhelmed, and how to do differently. So, and the last one, just to show the hyper rational. Again, if we take hyper out, rationality, analytical minds is great. Yeah. So like we use it at our work. It's people who are very quick in having solutions. Again, like, but the downside, again, especially in relationships, yeah, when your partner is sharing with you something, but you are kind of, oh, but what's the problem? There are three solutions already. And then the kind of you don't meet where they are because your partner probably didn't want any solution. They just want you to share emotions, like to be with them. And for these people, it's a little bit difficult to name their own emotions, but also to be with other people's emotions as well. Okay, so this is a short overview of 9 types. Santosh, question to you. Are you still want to stay with Restless, or you want to play with another character that you just heard?
Okay. Maybe do you want to go to the overall nine that
Yeah,
slide I just
I have a slide with all of them. Yeah. By the way, Nikki, if you want, you could also play a little bit, like
yeah.
choose one.
Actually, now I'm thinking if I go on my personal thing, then yes, I feel like I'm a pleaser, I'm a victim, I'm a avoider, but I'm not getting any professional example for those things. So I don't know. I am getting lots of things because the way you said, some of the things are coming in my mind, because just the last week in my family they have a wedding and somehow I didn't attend, and suddenly people are started shouting on me, and I'm feeling like yes, I am avoiding their phone calls. I am not liking, I'm just avoiding. So I feel like yes, so there have you given a 2 3 examples for the definition. Actually, I'm relating the last 1 week. I'm avoiding their calls. I am just saying that, something. So I can see 2 3 things in my personal life. Definitely, I'm getting it, especially in this week.
And by the
So
way, thank you for
I'm,
this. Indeed. By the way, also they could be different how they show up in personal life. Sometimes we have that one more dominant in our personal life, and another one in our maybe work relationships. It's also like
yeah.
speaking about relationships, that another topic, because it's kind of the roles that you have. Sometimes you need this role in this relationship, and you don't need that role because someone already have it on steroid in another one. So. And usually, actually, that you said, you resonate with several, and that's why we do this assessment. There are 9, but if I really do coaching session with my clients, I look at top 2, sometimes top 3, because
Mhm.
combination, as you said, there is a voider, there's that, and actually how they work together, that's interesting situation. Yeah, and
True.
for us to kind of to recognize, oh, that's the thing, and there are the tools how to do it differently. Again, I was not planning maybe to do the tools, but because it's a very small group, so we could actually do the tools. Do you want to play with a voider?
Yes.
And you
Okay,
also
first
could,
we go with the Santosh, what
yeah,
Santosh is
and
choosing, then we
yeah,
can do that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And Santosh, are you staying with Restless, or something else
Maybe
came up?
I'll uh, I have two things. One is pleaser. Um, uh, you can hear me right? You can hear me right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yes.
We do hear pleaser. Yeah, you said pleaser. You recognize pleaser.
Pleaser
Hmm.
and then hyper rational. So if you take my personal side,
Oh, and he disappeared. Oh,
Okay, he
now
will
he's,
join.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's back.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
So
sorry,
please,
yeah, yeah. So pleaser is the one I'll choose. Hyper rational and uh, fits me in most of the times, as you said. Maybe sometimes I go with I resemble the examples you just gave. So I just go with when people reach out to me, I just go with solutions rather than maybe looking at okay, let them uh, do the vomit of emotional space. So pleaser is something which I would say is the first point.
Yeah. Yeah, beautiful. So, yeah, thank you for sharing. So, what we're going to do, uh, we're not going to do any breakout rooms because it's only two of you. But what we're going to do, there are a couple of questions. So, I went to go far. Um, so, it's not in a breakout room, it's actually now, right? So, you chose Nikki, you chose to work with avoider, and you could also choose another one, like kind of yeah, together, because it's also an interesting combination. And happy to debrief a little bit for both of you and share the skills how to do it differently or concepts. And Santosh, feel free to play with hyper rational and pleaser. But the question, like, now when we discussed briefly, yeah, so what thoughts you now recognize that actually come, not you think, oh, that's me, but actually that's saboteur who, as I said, and maybe let me again to outline for avoider, this is people who by intent, like you just want peace, you just want to have good relationships. So and I mean, we need peace, like, yeah, what's going on, like here, like we need this. But unconsciously, when we think, oh, that's already good enough and I'm not going to ruin that piece, yeah, we chose not to. Yeah. And again, maybe because it's also, there is no like one recipe why it happens. Even as a child, going back, yeah, when we're a baby, that's how we learning these things. And I'm not saying that this is your case because there is no one, but it could be as a child, maybe you might see that the parents were so much conflicting that your baby mind or child might think, oh, that's too much, I'm not going to do this in my life, or vice versa. I have couples coming to me and say, oh, we don't argue at all. For me, it's such a red flag, because conflict, it's very normal, it's part of the any relationship. As I said, conflict is just a signal that something wants to change in this relationship, and maybe we don't know skills or tools or how to address it, not criticizing each other, but actually in a more skillful way. Yeah. So that's a avoider. And for Santosh, pleaser, again, this is also very soft voice kind of, yeah, that you like helping others, you want um, to help them, to take care about them. But what usually happens that in this intention to help others, we totally forget about ourselves. Okay, we helped others, their needs and wants met, and that's why, oh yeah, could you do this? Yes, I will. Could you do that? Yes, I will. And then you end up with so many things that there's no even time to do it with a good quality and everything. And when you we said already yes to something, like to other people, we are saying no to something else. And usually this is our personal life, kind of yes to work, but no to our family, kids, and time with them. And hyper rational, it's like, again, this is beautiful people, so brilliant, but sometimes, like, yeah, again, maybe in childhood something happened. We're coaching, not in therapy, but there may be so much emotions as a child, it was happening, that you could not process them. So as a child, to protect themselves, like kind of, okay, then I will shut up, then I will just numb my emotions. And that's the moment when you go to your good strength that you could analyze, but you're not opening for another person. Okay, so, and now it's a little bit debrief of your specific saboteurs. So now, speaking about that, what thoughts you now recognize that really coming from that saboteur? Maybe in your personal life, maybe in your professional life.
Um, is it for me or Nikki?
Yeah, fine of you. You could start, Santosh.
Yeah. So if you ask me, yes, you rightly said about the pleaser. So most of the times you try to do good things for others, but sometimes you end up yourself in trouble, or you end up putting more baggage on you for others. Uh, what I would say first is sometimes you try to please, but the other side try to take advantage of it and then overuse uh, uh, you. Uh, so that's the key example which I've felt that many times, and at times I thought, okay, I should start learning to say no.
Beautiful.
Maybe
Hmm.
I would say I repeat that myself many times, saying that okay, start learning to say no and be straightforward rather than being diplomatic. So I would say
Yeah,
being a pleaser, I went through those challenges, and I said, okay, fine. Start saying, learning, try to saying a no, and then be straightforward, and then uh, ensure that if someone is expecting a return from you, example, if any employee is expecting a career growth or any return from me, the first thing I say is, yes, I'm ready to sign up, provided you do this for me. So
yeah,
for the organization, so it's more a goal oriented rather than just one sided. So as a pleaser,
beautiful.
that's something I just learned, that okay, it should not be one sided, it should be the reciprocal, is something which is very important to be mindful of.
Exactly. Because what is the belief of not saying no more often? Like what you struggle in saying no usually?
See, maybe I don't want to lose the contact, or I feel that okay, example, if any employee or management, or okay, some resilience in change management, but I learned that okay, change is good, and then I said okay, um, let me take uh, one step ahead. So one piece again I learned on this, or a belief of saying no is, uh, you have a fear that okay, if this person goes or if this happens, it may really spoil other things, or it may distract things. But when you learn
Yeah,
to say no for that, the next thing what happens is you explore rather than being having the blockage, and that is something which is good, that okay, you start learning to say no and give priorities.
beautiful said. Because and I feel that kind of you have this awareness and you already like started to this, and you probably might see that actually people have no problems with your no, right? Like when you say really no, people accept it. Because if you think about the answer, and that's actually this belief, or the next question is like, what is the lie of the saboteur? And that's the lie that that saboteur tells you, oh, if you just say no to that person, if you not help them, you will ruin the relationship. Yeah, so that's the lie, and that's why we, because of that, because of this fear, we saying yes to, and then fill our plate, and then we're not able like to do this. Yeah, so it's another problem becoming for us. So the thing is that actually, and you might already notice this, if you're starting saying no, that usually people, because this conversation about the boundaries, yeah, this is my yes and this is my no, and it's very clear actually, if we communicate our boundaries clear, it's easy for other people also to work with us or to be in relationship with us, because hey, we know, we don't need to assume this is my yes and this is my no. And when we are saying no to someone else, the person who also honors their own boundaries, that will be not a problem for them. Because they know that, yeah, they also could say yes and no, and they also could receive yes and no. But usually another another issue comes, right? Kind of in that usually people with pleaser have is asking for help. So Santosh, how are you with this?
Yeah, you're right. Um, Actually, as you said, the saboteur many times says that okay, you release the relationship or you just lose something, but that's not the reality in real place. Even at times, if you bound to lose, you should think that the other side doesn't really uh, value as you are valuing them.
Yeah. So and so that's actually the lie of that saboteur, kind of its whisper. And by the way, both avoider and pleaser, they're kind of the soft voice, because hyperation is very present, kind of. These are three decisions, for example, right? But those two, pleaser and avoider, kind of, oh, pleaser, oh yeah, you don't need to disappoint another person. Of course you need to help them. Of course you need to say yes. And then we're doing so, but then again we overwhelm our thing. And so what to do? Let me already finish with Santosh, kind of to give a slight kind of going forward with this, right? I will teach you a technique in a moment, but the idea is that kind of what I give as an exercise to my individual clients is like start, actually, you're already doing this, but whenever next question, like, oh, Santosh, can you help me? And where you see kind of when you have to say yes, but that's the moment I want to stop, kind of you stop and check with yourself. Like, do you really want to do this? Then if you really want, feel free to do this. That's coming from a good place. But when it's like, I have to, or I am feel to, like kind of, this is the signal for you that maybe this is the moment to say no. And again, the more you say no, you might see that this is how you actually communicate your boundaries, and people will have no problem to accept your no. They will need to find another decisions. The thing is that for people who have pleaser, uh, you have to have your cup full in the first place. No one could do it for yourself. It's, like in the airplanes, they say, like, whenever there is no oxygen, right? Like, it's not you need to do this oxygen mask for your kids. First, you need to do it for yourself. And only after, when you have oxygen, you could help others. Same with pleaser, kind of with these saboteurs, right? The lie says, oh, if you don't help me or this person, I will ruin this relationship. No, if you actually don't have energy, if you waste all your energy helping others, but there is nothing for you, you are actually becoming another problem, because it's someone needs to help you now because you are out of energy. So no one except you could actually fulfill you with the same energy. Yeah. So your job is to keep your cup full. Then it's easy to help others. That's actually your strength. That's the talent or the good side of those people who have pleaser, because you love people, you love helping, but you could only help when you have resources. And it's much easier to help, to share from when the cup or the glass is full, rather than it's like no water at all. Then it's also very difficult to share for you. Does it make sense, Santosh?
Yeah, yes, yes.
So kind of assignment for you, if you want coaching, before anyone asks you for help, just check with yourself, is it you really want to do, then do, or it's you have to, and then say no to, and see what will be the impact actually. Okay.
Yeah.
And Nikki, avoider, right? So how you recognize, what thoughts you recognize now? You're already speaking about this, right?
Actually, I feel after listening to Santosh and after you explained about this saboteur, I feel like, I don't know how to deliver my thoughts
Mm,
in a covered way. I know how to talk straightforward. So professionally, it makes sense because you have a data, you have a facts, you have figures. So you can say like this thing I want. But when it comes to some, personal scenario, it's not a white and black, right? People
mhm.
doesn't want to listen. People always want to listen what they wanted to listen. And I can't speak those things, right? So uh, in this scenario, I felt like, I can't communicate properly, and that's why I chosen avoiding. Because whatever I
Mhm.
say, that person or that people will definitely don't understand, right? So I thought that this is the best way to avoid. So I think that my communication, I don't know how to, communicate. I don't know how
Yeah,
to diplomatically,
yeah,
diplomat I have to do, or the manipulation, I don't know how to do that, and that's why I chosen the the I was thinking this is a good path, but yes, this is avoiding and this is not that good. Because I was, as a person, I'm not a avoider. As a
mhm.
person, I'm always be with the people, but yes, I did, and that I feel somehow that was wrong. I'm feeling because first time I did all this thing, but when you were showing all the nine characters, suddenly it comes like yes, I did this thing. So yeah, I
Uh,
think I don't know how to communicate, and I feel that people also, if sometimes you should know how to manipulate things. You should know how not to talk directly, but with a good rapper, right? Good rapper on your talk so that people can understand what you want to say instead of just avoiding. So,
Exactly.
something.
And actually, it's not even It's the thing as you're describing, and I could imagine that if you're speaking about personal relationships, I mean, with a family, it's extra layers. There's other stuff also there. If you speak about like it's when I work with teams, and they have conflict, because what we're talking about, it's sometimes toxic behaviors that we notice in relationships and how to address this. And in my experience, working with toxic, because but the way just to normalize, we all have a bit of toxic behaviors. And there's a great book, actually, yeah, John Gottman. So he talks about this. There is a separate article, both of you, if you want, could read it, because he doesn't say them. This is toxic behaviors, but he called them as four horsemen of apocalypse, right? So basically, it is. So basically, when this behavior happen in relationship, it's put in, as he said, in the gridlock of this relationship, and there are criticism, yeah, then defensiveness, and actually they're kind of staying, like one is criticizing, another is saying no, it's not me, it is you. The defensiveness, and it's another way of criticizing. Then there is contempt. It's kind of I just want to have the sarcastic joke, and for a second I feel good, but then actually it's really damaging for the relationship. It doesn't good for receiver and not for giver. And the last one is stonewalling. It's avoiding, indeed. And it's when kind of there is so much happening, so in order to a little bit, as you said, maybe to defend yourself, kind of to protect yourself, kind of you just, okay, I'm not going in, like it's overwhelming so far, so I'm not going to do this, yeah, for myself. And we unconsciously don't want to. So the good thing is that also John Gottman came up with antidotes, how to do this. And there are a couple of things, but what I love, and just in terms of our framework and time, I will just give one thing. It's actually how we could, because you're asking how to do it diplomatically, like in your words. But there's a beautiful, it's many actually, there are many frameworks of how to give feedback, constructive feedback. I like the one that is called SBI. Are you familiar? It's SBI model. The idea is that instead of saying, "Oh, you are so," and when we say this kind of, for example, "You're so irrespectful," kind of when we say this is already criticizing, and it doesn't give any how to say, any information for another person to do differently, kind of, oh, something is wrong with me, and that's why it is painful. So we want to actually avoid that. We don't want to do it like criticizing the personality, but what we could do, we could focus on the behavior, because behavior we could change. Each person could have the behavior. Some behaviors are very great in this relationship, some behaviors we want to a bit adjust. So the framework of SBI, actually, it's how to address behavior, but you do it in a very specific way. First, S is situation. Basically, what's the situation? We don't want to say you're always or you're never, because that's already not true. Like, we don't know, right? So we want to be very specific. Hey, yesterday when we met, so the person, okay, my focus on this conversation, right? When we met, you said this, and you really, especially at this moment, you don't want to bring any additional emotions. You just want to be super neutral, just address what was the behavior. Yeah, you're not saying that the person is wrong or something, but you say that's what you did, so the person also knows, right? And then you add with the impact, how was it on you? And because you're talking about yourself, kind of, oh, but that actually really hurt me when I heard this from you. And because in this way, yeah, yesterday you told me this, and it was so painful for me to receive this. You're actually not blaming them. You're saying them how you feel. And then, so kind of SBI is like those 3 steps, but especially when we want to do this constructive feedback, after that, we want actually to ask another person their point of view, because sometimes they were probably not, in many cases, it was not their intention to hurt you, but they have, it's their blind spot. We all as humans, we have a blind spot, and sometimes we're not even aware that this our behavior could have this impact unless someone tells us. And that's why when I work with teams or with couples, I don't say that this person is toxic, so this person is bad, because toxicity, these behaviors belong to the relationship. If one notices there is a relationship but doesn't give feedback, that's becoming this relationship issue. Yeah, so one says one does wrong thing, for example, but people start stonewalling, avoiding like saying this, then it's becoming a problem. But when one is behavior noticed, and then we give this constructive feedback, asking, so what was the reason, like you said this, and the person actually, that's the moment how we're not teaching other people, hey, don't do this next time, because they think, who do you think you are telling me this? But when you ask, so what was the reason you tell me this, or what's happening on your side, by this question, starting with what, you make another person realize actually what they did that create this unintentional impact. And then you could kind of sum up it with, okay, so next time when we meet, how we could be with each other a bit differently here. Yeah. So then you come up with design something different. And this is paradoxically, of course, let's be very honest, it's not the nicest conversation that you have, especially with your family, but paradoxically, it brings more trust, more respect, and really make the relationship deeper and better. Anyway, yeah, how does it sound for you?
Sounds good, but I don't know how to communicate again. But yes, I love the point when you said yesterday or something like that. So I will try because they all are my very close family members. So I don't know.
I
Yeah,
know, I
because
know.
yeah, it's a very close relative, and somehow that professionally I was really busy, and I just in one go I thought, okay, I should not attend the wedding. It's a 1 week travel, and I simply just thought, but suddenly everyone is just they're not liking it, and suddenly okay, but yes, I try maybe today or tomorrow, because that family member is no none other than my mother or my sister. So let's see how I can talk to them.
Yes, kind of just not to go for the wedding just because of that, that's kind of this how these saboteurs really impact unconsciously on our life. Just because of that, our sometimes even assumption, right? We actually rob ourselves from the whole experience to enjoy the wedding. It's such a beautiful day. Yeah, because of this. Yeah. Okay, knowing the time also, I also um, promised to you to do like one exercise to show you how actually to deal with saboteur. But before that, do you think that these negative emotions, saboteurs, are good for you? What do you think, Nikki and Santosh?
It's not good for sure, but if you know how to overcome that, I think that's a blessing is what I would say.
Exactly. So it's like kind of the same question. Do you think pain is good for you?
Pain is
I
not
think
good, but sorry, no, go ahead,
no, no.
Nikki. Sorry.
Okay, no, no. So I felt like any negative things or any pain, unless and until you're talking to yourself, you are start self analyzing, realizing lots of things coming to you. And first time you are also meeting with you, okay, that first time you also feel like, oh yes, you are also negative. Yes, you are also
Yeah.
toxic somewhere. So now you cannot see other people around like they are villain and you are positive. Right now you're also thinking, yes, it's a human behavior, and anybody anytime you can go through it. So if I think that small negativity or frequency of negativity or pains, if it's coming, frequency should be less, then
Yeah.
definitely it teach you a lot, because now you are now the next time when I see other person, then I can feel, look, no, it's okay, it's just a
Yeah.
human, right? So
We
I
all.
think I cannot say that's all bad, but yes, the
Yeah.
frequency should be very less. It should be less.
Exactly.
It's not like it becomes whole negative person and you are always a victim person or you're always in the pain. Then definitely it's not good. But yes, sometimes it's good so that you understood who you are, a real
Yeah, because
human.
we all have patterns, as you said. And I put this specific picture because it's like putting pain actually is good for you only for 1 second. Let me put this, yeah? Because if you put it on the hot stove, you need a signal to your brain that, hey, take it out. Otherwise, you could burn yourself till bones. So we need this pain. But as you said, frequency, it's only for 1 second. Because then you could, oh, that's my saboteur. Oh, that's my kind of trigger, kind of. And as you said, if we stay too much, then it's ruins. Like we're stuck. Oh, I'm in your case, right? Oh, because of that, I'm not going to the wedding, and because you are just stuck with these emotions, with this like assumptions, sometimes with these thoughts. But oh, okay, I noticed myself this pattern. I'm avoiding this now. What about if I have this conversation first and then decide should I go? Maybe still you don't want to, based on what you discuss, or maybe actually you could change something. So that's the idea. Okay, we have 1 minute, and I promise to do this exercise in 10 seconds. For that, I want you to. It's called 10 seconds PQ because it's from Positive Intelligence. Um, I want you now to do it together with me and prepare your fingers in this manner. kind of just like, yeah, two fingers. Yeah. And just start rub one finger after each other. Yeah, in this manner. So if you're comfortable, you could close your eyes, or if
Hey,
you're not
sorry, 1 minute.
comfortable,
I'm unable to see
uh-huh.
your video. I'm just.
Okay, yeah. So it's just like rubbing your two fingers, big and point finger,
Okay.
thumb and point finger. Yeah. And if you're comfortable, just close your eyes for a second. Well, for a couple of seconds, I will mind the time, and just in silence, focus on the movements of your fingers, just in silence for a while. Maybe that was about 10 seconds. If you now open your eyes and like scan your mind, body, what do you notice in this moment? Did anyone like did you speak did you have any thoughts about that avoiding feelings or this pleasing that we just talked before all this session? Did you have any of those thoughts in this moment?
I would
No,
say
just before closing my eyes, I said to myself that I will work on this conflict. But then I
Hmm.
closed my eyes and then I was focused on just breath. That's it.
Beautiful. And for you, Santosh?
I would say it's more a calm and composed is what I would say.
Yeah.
Nothing came to my mind. Just focusing on that. Uh,
So exactly. So that's actually the beauty of this. So you were still present with me. You didn't switch off like completely, but you were able not to think about those saboteurs. So that means that your mind actually have capacity to have time and place when there is no those thoughts. Basically, your mind is capable to park it. And this quality actually we could train. So what I want you to live with, because it's okay. That's the more like the idea is that when we do this, basically that's how you park those thoughts, and you could, when you don't have any sabotaging thoughts, so this avoiding, right, then you could have any other more intentional, more positive, more like beautiful thoughts, let's say, right? And sometimes the question is like, is it really possible to just shift from saboteur to sage, kind of this inner leader or inner voice, even in the tough challenging times? The answer is yes, but because it's mental fitness, so we need to train our mental muscles here. And that's what I want to leave you, because what we just discussed in the seminar, this is actually, think about this, it's a good insight, maybe, right? It's a good thought, but it's only 20%. 80% comes from practicing, from really building this, as we call it, mental muscle. So how to do this? If you just during the day, so we did it for 10 seconds and you already was like kind of, okay, a bit of relaxed. Yeah, here, didn't think about this. In order to make it practice, what I give assignment for my clients is to do it not for 10 seconds, for 2 minutes and 3 times per day, like in the morning, during lunchtime, and before going to sleep. And maybe if you want to reflect just before going to sleep, kind of 1 2 sentence, how did you feel today? Because that's how we train, and it's better to do 3 times for 2 minutes than 1 time to six, because every time you do this, every time you stop, every time you break this pattern. And the pattern, as you know, how many years we are alive in this world, so that's how many years the neuro kind of paths are so strong. But the good thing is that, well, the bad thing is that they will never disappear. I could not promise you this, but the good thing, we could actually train ourselves and to make it stop, to recognize and choose to do differently.